Justin,
Molly.
we're back. All right, so video number
2 of 2.
yeah, that. Okay, I was gonna say I don't know how many videos this is we've had done now. Like
Season 2, video 2.
okay,
episode
yes,
2.
gotcha. Okay,
Episode 2.
I'm tracking. All right, welcome back. Another episode of Muscle and Mead, where we drink mead and talk about stuff that involves muscles and also mead. So tonight, I get the corks ready. All right, tonight we have the New World Camelot mead. It was actually a Christmas gift from my mom. So
Thank you.
yeah, thanks, Mom. All right, so it's a Old World libation, New World perfect. Okay, it's alcohol. It's that. Yeah, it's mead. It's mead and it's alcohol. All right.
It's actually a great bottle too because
It is
it's
a really
very
cool bottle.
springish, and right now we are in the season of disting, which you know from Old Norse culture is part of spring.
Got it.
Disting is 2 full moons after Yule, and this year Yule was December 21st, 2023. So 2 full moons later will be February 21st. So just in a couple days here, we'll be disting, which is the season of new beginnings. Thank you. Oh, it smells really good. Smells like apples. Do you smell apples?
I do actually.
Yeah, really good.
I haven't even drink yet. Oh wow. Yeah,
Smells
that is. Wow. Nice job,
So
Mom.
good, yeah. I could just smell it.
Yeah,
Not
actually-
Even, we don't even need to drink it. Let's just
No, we're
smell
gonna
it.
drink it.
Okay.
Wow, that is very
Delicious.
spring. That is spring. That is like new life spring.
Definitely.
Like yeah, like not the what's the word? I don't want to say like the dead rising. That sounds weird. That's like Halloween stuff. But I'm saying like it's
Fresh.
yeah, fresh,
freshness.
like changes. Like the flowers are coming up
Yep.
and colors coming
Right,
back, and
right.
the dark clouds of winter are finally gone.
Yeah, energy. It smells
That's
like
it.
energy.
It smells like energy.
It smells like energy.
It's like an old world energy drink.
Yeah, this is like an energy drink.
Yeah, it's an energy drink.
Wow,
Okay, cool. All
I
right.
love it already.
The alcoholic energy drink.
I love it.
We're sitting on a gold mine.
Fantastic.
Skull.
Skull. Oh my gosh, so energetic. He really likes this one.
Wow.
So good.
It
This
is.
is delicious.
Yeah, this is. This is.
So good.
I don't know if it's my favorite one yet, but this is up there.
I just feel energized
Yeah.
and amazing right now. This is so
I
good.
do. Yeah, like a very what's the word? I don't know. This is looking good.
It's gonna be a great
It's
episode.
good. Yeah, it's gonna be a good
It's
episode.
gonna
I'm
be a
like,
great
yeah, definitely charged up now.
Watch out. Well, it's great because our topic is all about working out.
Yes.
So, I mean, this is a perfect segue to that.
Yeah. So tonight we want to talk about obviously talk about a lot of history here and other ancient cultures, things like that. Obviously, Vikings is kind of our thing, but yeah, a lot of cultural history had either depending on what you were doing in that society, if you were a soldier in an organized military, and the Greeks, the Romans, or in some cases, just your daily life would have been one heck of a workout. I mean,
Right.
depending where you were, and also, I mean, starting out in Scandinavia, I mean, you look at your daily life, if you're, a farmer, shipbuilder, whatever, you're going to be doing a lot of manual labor, so you're burning a ton of calories. Your diet is mainly, I think we talked about this last time, your diet is a lot of fish, a lot of veggies, very lean meats, not a lot of fat. So it's other than beer, I guess, beer, meat, that type of thing. And then if you were a warrior in that culture and you're training to go off raiding, then yeah, you're going to be actually you're going to be burning through a lot of calories that way too. So I think there were plenty of cultures where you were just your daily life, just how you lived or what you ate, was going to create kind of a certain look, a certain physique, and a certain style of fitness.
Mm-hmm. For example, like the Vikings had much different bodies than other cultures because for them, they did so much shipbuilding and they prepared for their raids. Speaking of raids in spring, in 793, which
1,000 years too late there.
it was actually exactly 793, which if I do the math, that was 1,200 And 31 years ago this spring, I'm very good at math, aren't I? Yeah.
Great.
I didn't look that up first.
Seriously?
Kind of.
That's awesome. Wow.
So anyways, that many years ago,
I failed math like 3 years in a row.
it was that many years ago that the very first documented Viking raid to a monastery occurred, in which the Vikings pillaged and they got a lot of riches. And where did that occur?
In England. So
Yeah.
essentially, I mean, prior to that, I mean, in post-Roman Christian England, in the kingdoms of Wessex, Northumbria, Mercia, I mean, you had a lot of England at the time is not England as we think of it today. It was several kingdoms that were sometimes at war with each other, or other times having alliances, all that type of stuff. But the point is that Christianity was so entrenched at that point that you weren't, that in a lot of cases, a lot of these monasteries had quite a lot of gold, treasure, that type of things that pretty much was off limits to everyone. I mean, even if you're at war with your neighboring kingdom, you're not going to go pillage and plunder a Christian site. That's just very bad juju on your soul.
Right.
So for the Vikings to show up and like, oh, there's all this like just unguarded treasure, like score, right? Spanish. I also failed Spanish.
It's okay.
Math and Spanish. The only classes I've ever failed is math and Spanish.
Interesting. Well, we'll speak English right now.
Thank you.
And a little Old Norse. We're going to speak some Old Norse later as well. So, but anyways, the Vikings, when they got ready for their raids, they had to do a lot of workouts. And they were also a little superstitious when they did their workouts, because they would pick up large rocks. And the rocks would be symbolic of their raiding, of what they would get during the raids superstitiously.
Yeah. In some parts, in some parts of Scandinavia, they had basically, it wasn't necessarily competition, but it was, you would go to the quarry, not all over Scandinavia, in certain parts, you would go to the quarries and obviously the giant rocks there, and as a show of strength, you'd pick up a rock or try to pick up a rock, and basically the biggest rock you could pick up was the equivalent of treasure you were allowed to bring back.
It's like an old strongman competition.
Yeah, very much, yeah. How strong you are is how much you're going to get paid. It's a good incentive.
Definitely. And that compares to some cultures that were more endurance strength based.
Hey, go back to look at something like the Spartans. Obviously, we all love 300. I love 300. I don't care. Yeah, I don't care how historically accurate or inaccurate it is. I absolutely love that.
I don't even care. I just turn the sound on and watch it. It's amazing.
I do too.
Who doesn't?
Right? Just admire it. Anyway, so, but if you look at a culture like the Spartans, where like pretty much every male Spartan citizen was a soldier, you were in the army. From at age 7, you would be taken away and placed in basically roughly an 11-year boot camp called the Yagoge until you were 18 or so, and then you would be basically start out as a new private in the military, essentially. And that was every Spartan male citizen. So because every male citizen is in the army, they actually had like numerous classes of essentially slaves that were basically did all the day-to-day work in society, essentially all your trades, crafts, that type of thing. Because of that, those guys that were actual Spartan citizens, that were actually citizen soldiers, had nothing to do but train for war, go fight war, and make babies for the next generation of soldiers. That was about it. And you couldn't even get married until you're over 30. No. So, but if you look at their training program, it was obviously a lot of what we would consider strength endurance, a lot of body weight, that type of thing. Even though you watch 300 and they all look like bodybuilders, in actuality, historians think that they actually would have been a lot leaner. They would have had more of that lean, mean look, because it's a ton of body weight exercise. It's a very, very simple diet. And really the key to a lot of their success on the battlefield was just their battlefield tactics, the fact that they were essentially bred for that type of warfare. And so you're probably seeing guys that, looked like, not distance runners, but, something like that could probably run distance and then, fight a battle afterwards if they had to.
Definitely. I mean, don't discount calisthenics. That's really what their workouts were about. And those are very popular today, too, where you don't need any weights at all. And don't fool yourself, they're very difficult. If you watch our workout video that we did earlier, you're going to see that Justin was just using some pirouettes to do some incredible tricep push-ups with some biceps and core work. So you don't necessarily need some bicep knee curls. They have an interesting name. You'll have to check it out. But yeah, you don't necessarily need weights to have an amazing body or be super strong. So
diet and body weight. And people just kind of discount body weight, but. Also, but that's a good point too. Is what are you training for? Obviously, these kind of examples we're talking about with the Viking Spartans. We'll mention a few others. A lot of that they were training for something very specific. Now, like me and Molly have both done physique bodybuilding competitions. So in that we were training for something very specific. We needed to look a certain way, not necessarily be the person that can lift the heaviest thing, but we're training to look a certain way. So when you're on stage, the judge is looking like, okay, yeah, you look the best. You're, this muscle is perfectly proportioned to the other one and all that. So it's a question of like, what are you training for? Yeah, if you're trying to be the strongest guy, then yeah, you need the biggest weights to,
right.
all the strongman stuff.
Yeah.
But if you're just training to be healthy, you can do a lot with just your own body, and don't discount it, because I do calisthenics body weight every single morning, and it's, I probably do that more than I, actually lift. I know there's gonna be so many in the comments saying, yeah, bro, that's why you're small, but yeah, whatever, we'll get to that later. But anyway, so
don't discount calisthenics.
Don't count, and as much as I hate to admit it, cardio, don't discount cardio.
Nope, and if you get gassed easy, so you definitely want to be able to breathe and keep going. And so Spartans, we keep coming back to Spartans because they're just amazing. And the calisthenic workouts they do, I mean, I would challenge anyone to try one of the Spartan workouts.
Insane, yeah. And I don't know if there's an actual, I'll have to dig into that a little bit more. I'm still trying to figure out if historians have been able to figure out exactly not exactly, but as close as we can get to what their actual regiment would have been. That'd been pretty insane.
Their whole life.
Yeah.
Was about that.
Yeah, we should see if we can find some type of ancient culture workout and try it for a month or something and see what happens.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. Obviously now in the same, obviously right next door you had the Athenians, the Corinthians, just a lot of these Greek city-states that had similar cultures. Obviously the Spartans had the probably the most intense physical way of life, but the Athenians were up there too. Remember, right after 300, after the Greeks defeat the Persians, now you go into the Peloponnesian Wars, which is a 30-year war between Athens and Sparta, which Sparta does win, but the Athenians really gave them a run for their money. But if you go back even farther than that, during one of the Persian invasions of Greece at the Battle of Marathon, where we actually get the word marathon for the whole marathon race now, is when the Athenians won the Battle of Marathon, they sent a runner back to Athens who ran that 26 point whatever it is miles that a marathon is today.
Wow.
Yeah, ran it, fought the battle, ran 26 miles back, ran into the center of Athens screaming out, victory, victory, won, and then dropped out of a heart attack. I don't know why you would name a race after the first dude that did it died.
He did run it twice, so
that's a good point.
It's probably
That's a good point. Yeah.
Don't run twice in a row.
Don't run a marathon twice in a row.
Once.
Yeah. Oh, I kind of want to train for an Ironman someday.
Wow.
No, for one reason only. So I've only ever I was downtown one time when they were having the Ironman, and I just happened to be just bumming around. And I was near the finish line. I remember the guy just the announcer calling out as people were crossing the finish line, number 126, John Smith, he's a 47-year-old father of 3, da-da-da-da-da, you are an Iron Man. But remember that, I'm what? I want to train for this and do it just because, I want to be running and, people, hold out, water cups as you're kind of coming in and stuff. I want to have, somebody in the crowd that's, one of my buddies that's, holds out, a pack of Marlboros. So it's as soon as I cross the finish line, and just stand there and just light up a Marlboro Red. Just because I want to hear them, number 3, Justin Garcia. Is he smoking? I just want to. I don't know. I don't know why it's a bucket list item of mine. It just is.
All right, that's cool, but you could also have meat at the end, so that might be
I
better.
just feel like it'd be like more of a kind of a.
It would be funnier.
It'd be funny. Just like
funny.
run across the finish line and like light a marble red.
It's ironic,
Yeah,
yeah.
the irony alone is worth
Yeah,
it.
that
But
would be
anyway,
funny.
moving on. So staying in the Mediterranean, talking about so now the Romans. That's kind of a whole other thing because now Rome, I guess, kind of in a way, in a very loose way, similar to Sparta, you did have somewhat of a military culture, but not the same way. In Rome, you didn't have to be in the military. In fact, for a long time, it was actually very, very difficult to get into the Roman military. You had to be a full Roman citizen, landowner, all kinds of stuff. So we won't get into the whole history and everything right now. But if we're taking just the Roman soldiers, and we'll go, late Republic, early Imperial Rome, which is probably one of the finest professional armies that the world has probably ever seen, the Roman legionaries.
Amazing.
Now those guys would have been huge because they're marching all the time. A Roman legionary was expected to be able to march 20 miles, I think, in 9 hours, carrying full kit.
Wow.
Which would have been your armor, your short sword called a gladius, your tower shield was called a scutum, your 2 throwing spears, which are called pilum, and all your armor, depending on what era you're in, probably, if it's early Imperial era, the lorica segmentata, that layered steel that they had, and you had to be able to do that in step 20 miles.
Wow.
Yeah, you're expected to be able to, every day you're expected to be able to do that. Just
incredible.
Get up, and when they were actually on campaign, they would march 20 miles and then have to build their camp. They built an actual camp every night, complete with ditches, a palisade wall, guard towers, everything. The next morning, they'd tear it all down.
Wow.
And march another 20, and then also be able to fight a battle and that. So you're probably also looking at a lot of, obviously, calisthenic work there, but I'm going to go ahead and say probably some weights in there involved too. Be able to stand in formation for a while and actually fight a battle.
All that, yeah. That armor, it was not like the newfangled titanium or anything either. It was heavy.
It was about 70 pounds.
70, wow.
So, which is about what we wear now. Actually, if you go back, like almost every era, if you look at whoever the premier troops were in each era, their armor, from when we started wearing armor as species, was around 60s, between probably 60 and 80. We found that, essentially that's what a human, no matter how strong, whatever you are, on average, that's what you're going to be able to carry. You look like the medieval knights, their full suit of armor, it was around that. Even today, they've been able to recreate full suits of armor, and the people that actually know how that stuff works will get them as I can run, I can jump. There was a French knight, Marshal Boucicaut, who was known for running a mile every day in full armor.
Wow.
No. So you can do it. Yeah.
I feel really inspired right now.
Yeah, right.
That's incredible. Wow. Of all these cultures, it's so interesting because it just kind of shows the whole thing that is whoever you're around is who you're going to be like, whether it's forced or whether it's just from the way things are, but it's kind of the way people are now today as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your tribe is gonna I think, determine a lot about you. So yeah, it's a good. You can say, well, be careful who you choose to be around you, choose to be in your tribe, but at the same time, it's important to actually find the people that are gonna lift you up in the right ways, because it's easy to fall in with the troop or the crowd that they might be lifting you up, but it's in the wrong ways, and it might be very negatively reinforcing negative things in your life. Finding the people that are going to reinforce and build the positive things for you.
Absolutely, you can take it broadly like that, and you can even take it more, specifically where you're talking about. I know in some groups where you'll be like, hey, how much can you bench? How much can you deadlift? And that's just common conversation. And then another group that's maybe more into the calisthenics would be like, how many push-ups can you do? Or how many pull-ups can you do? Just different kinds of strength building workouts. So maybe you have a mixture of that, but whoever you talk to is going to kind of inspire you too, because it makes you think when they ask you questions that just inspire you to work harder in whatever you're working on.
Yeah. Yeah. And remember, there's a time and place for that type of thing too. Because if you're on a first date, don't let some random guy at the bar say, "I bet I can do more push-ups than you," and then you go out into the street and try to beat that person in push. That happened to a friend of mine. She was on a first date, and guy that she was on a first date, blind date with this guy, and yeah, and another dude was like, "Hey, I bet I can do more push-ups than you." He was like, "Okay." She's like, "The heck?" All right, whatever.
First and last date, I'm guessing. And I'm also sure she probably beat him, is my guess.
No, it was some guy he didn't even know.
Oh wow!
Just some random
a
guy at the
random
bar.
guy?
Yeah. I mean,
Oh,
like,
that's
I don't get that. That's weird. That's
something's wrong with that
that's
person.
some
For
yeah,
sure.
that's some weird like old school like you have to have a show of strength or something like that. Oh.
There's a lot of things we could say about that.
Yeah.
But of all the workouts you just talked about, I think it's really interesting because you can relate that to the Old Norse word of Miklagard. Miklagard is a word that the Vikings made up in the spring because they were doing raids. And they did raids like the one we talked about earlier, which was in 793. At the beginning of the video, we talked about that. And those were kind of the smaller raids. They knew that they could do them easily. They were in, France, Britain, Ireland, that area. But they also had the far-setting, shiny goal of going to Constantinople, today's Istanbul. And that was like the city of all cities back in the day with the most riches and the most dazzling things that they wanted. However, it was ridiculous to think they could go that far, but yet they set a long-term goal and they called it Miklagard, which means the great city. And that just means that what we can do when we pick goals, like for example, picking up huge rocks like the Vikings did to get stronger, that's something that can inspire you too. So if you can't pick up large rocks now, if you think about that as your Miklagard or maybe a marathon, we talked about marathon running as well. If you want to run a marathon, that could be your Miklagard. So if you pick up something and you think that's something that would be really hard for you, you can think about it as your Miklagard. And then go for it this spring because spring is just a good time for new beginnings.
Yeah, everyone's on that. You get that energy, man. That spring air, it's real. That's a real thing. When the weather changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially for those of us live in a climate where we go through that really that long, cold, dark winter. I tell you when sun starts coming out and it starts warming up, it's just your blood gets going. It's like let's go. So you're getting that harness that, capitalize on that energy.
Especially if you have this kind of mead.
Also, yes.
So good.
Like seriously, this is like an energy drink.
It is. Yeah. I think maybe we'll go run a marathon.
We should.
Only one though, so not two, because we don't want to have a heart attack.
Absolutely
Just
not.
one
So,
marathon.
I will race you around the block right now.
Okay, let's go.
All right, let's go. All right.
All right, so one more thing before we sign off. As you may have seen, our merch, Muscle and Mead leather bracelets here. So what we are going to do, our first ever merch giveaway. We have a extra one for you. What we're going to do for people who want to enter the contest to win our first ever Muscle and Mead merch giveaway, we're going to give you a trivia question and you can send us the answer through our YouTube page, email us, and we will do a random drawing of all the correct answers. So here's the question for our first giveaway.
So we mentioned the first recorded Viking raid in England at a holy site. What was the name of that site?
I'd have to do a little research, but you can find the answer if you try. Okay, so send the answers to our YouTube page, and we will pick a random winner, and this could be yours. Thanks for watching, guys.
Skull.
Skull.